I just wanted to show this kind of setup I have. Obviously, I got the new phone, the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, and one of the features of it is NFC. I got my phone before my Galaxy Note, which was the Motorola Razr, and the Razr didn't have NFC, and I've always wanted to play around with it, and so for a year I didn't get to play with it until I got my Note, and now I ordered these NFC chips instead of the Samsung Tactiles, because I guess you could call them generic chips, are much cheaper. I got these specifically on Amazon, and I got 10 of them for about $15-16. NFC tag too as well. Oh, that's blurry, but came with that as well. So it also, these apparently work with the Samsung Tactile NFC program as well. With the Tactile NFC software, of course on Android, I've had maybe 2 crashes where all of a sudden the phone still works, but then the NFC is not recognized properly, so I'd had to restart the phone. And I think that was when I was actually writing to the NFC chip. Other than that, just tagging these NFC things, just putting your phone over it seems to work fairly well. There've been maybe a couple times where I hear the chime and it didn't properly activate the instructions. This was originally a GPS setup, and it just so happened when I got my Razr, I by the way use Verizon as my carrier, and it had like my Razr, which I'm shooting this video on, has a similar case. I don't know if this is exclusive to Verizon, but they have these kind of plastic cases with a little stand that pops out. But I tend to like these than the flip cover, because I just don't like the idea of having to flip open a cover every time I want to use my phone. So I have a protective plastic sheeting on here, and this plastic hard cover. It has this kind of edge right here where it'll land on that and not on the actual glass, which I think is Gorilla Glass on the Note 2. So it should hold up, but obviously I cringe whenever I drop my phone. But all the corners, I like how all the corners are pretty much protected. With this case, it kind of gets a little thicker, and it just so happened when I was using my Razr, I started using my phone more for my GPS, because Google Navigation also has like traffic and all those features that my Garmin GPS, I think it was in Garmin Nuvi, I had a 300 series or something like that. It didn't, it was just maps, and I'd have to update the maps, and there's no traffic or anything like that. My Razr with the case would fit perfectly into this slot, this GPS slot that I actually, this was my old one. This one I used for the bracket that I used for my Garmin, and it fit my Razr. And my phone would just pop in there, and it would just be perfect. I don't particularly like to put the suction cup on, because it's blocking my view. I don't like things blocking my view when I'm driving. And I think in California, which is where I'm at, that's actually illegal. So I'm not 100% sure on that. I think I heard that somewhere. But when I got my Note, obviously the Note is much bigger than my Razr. It wouldn't fit into that bracket anymore, which kind of sucked, because it was kind of a perfect situation that happened to work out. So I went around looking, and I did buy another kind of bracket that you could set, a kind of universal phone bracket, where you could just set kind of any phone in and then adjust the sides and stuff. But look at this thing. This thing's huge compared to this thing, and it's so ugly. So what I did is I went to like the local Fry's Electronics, and they actually I looked in the GPS section, and they had a Garmin Nuvi bracket, the same thing. It's just it was for a newer GPS, Garmin GPS Nuvi. I think it was like Nuvi 500 or something, which is a little bit bigger, but it just wouldn't pop in. So I had to do a little ghetto rig on it and add with I used paper clips and cloth tape. So then I made the bracket a little bigger. So now I can actually, in the same way I did my Razor, I can just pop in my phone and use it as my GPS. And it's really easy to pop out, and it's fairly sturdy too. So even when it just shakes, it won't fall out or anything like that. So, but now going back to these NFC chips. Basically, I looked up a lot of videos on NFC chips and NFC tiles and how people were using it, and there are basic descriptions, but nobody really was showing exactly how they integrated into what they're doing. Like, they would have car mode, but nobody would actually have it in their car. So yeah, NFC task launcher instead of the Samsung Tactiles software, and then I program this chip so that it would basically putting on my Bluetooth, launching the Google navigation app, putting up the volume on my Media 15. I don't know why I did that, but disabled Wi-Fi. It would disable the lock screen, enable rotation, because I usually keep the auto rotation off because I use my phone mostly like this or with a pen. And then set the display to timeout after 5 minutes as opposed to like 30 seconds or something like that. So when I sit into my car, I would just take my phone, and for some reason you can't really see that it's on because I guess the glare of the sun. But you have to have your phone on in order to actually use NFC. So that kind of sucks. It would kind of be nice if your phone was turned off and you could just wave it over these things and it would do stuff. But it's still limited technology, and I think a lot of people are, even though it's been out for a while now, people are still trying to figure out how to use it. I think it's cool and it's kind of a novelty thing, but eventually it might become like even more sophisticated and kind of cool. But at this level, it's pretty cool to program these things. So I'd get in my car, turn on the phone, and then just hold it over, and you hear that sound, and then there's like a little prompt that says the car mode is on. It's in navigation mode, and all those functions I just read off to you are enabled, and I just plug in my phone, pop it in, and then I'm good to go. So that was a quick demo of how I specifically use my Verizon Galaxy Note 2 in my car. And if I think of, that's the thing, is if I think of cool other applications in my usual way, whether it's on production, because I DP films a lot, or script writing, which is another thing I do, it'd be kind of cool. So if I figure out, or I learn how to incorporate these things into that aspect of what I do, I'll make more videos. But anyway, that's a quick rundown of using my Note 2 in my car. And I'm glad I kind of finally figured out. I've had the Note for like 2 weeks, and I finally figured out how to just incorporate it nicely into my car experience. So I'm happy.